Welcome to your ultimate pit stop, Piston Pundit. Since January 2025, US-Canada relations have been on a wild ride, sweeping tariffs, fiery rhetoric, and a Canadian backlash draining billions from border economies. What began as political posturing has escalated into tourism slumps, pricier cars and parts, and GOP leaders rushing north to ease tensions. With Prime Minister Carney set to meet President Trump in Washington and the first USMCA review approaching, the stakes for jobs, autos, and supply chains couldn't be higher. Buckle up. The developments ahead could reshape North America's economic engine. Shutting the wallet, Canada's boycott economics rev up. The fastest way to feel geopolitics is at the cash register. In 2024, Canadians made 20 million trips to the US, spending over $20 billion and supporting 140,000 jobs in tourism and retail. But 2025 flipped the script. In response to tariffs and 51st state rhetoric, many Canadians simply stayed home. By early summer, border states saw 30 to 34% declines in Canadian car visits and tourism flows, a structural shock, not a blip. On North Conway's Main Street or Maine's Old Orchard Beach, the absence is obvious. Fewer license plates, empty hotel rooms, and businesses relying on local day trippers to fill the void. Duty-free shops report plunging sales, while US exports like alcohol have taken a major hit. A sustained 30% travel drop is like erasing a small state's tourism sector. With bookings planned months ahead, this year's cancellations become next year's lost jobs. That's why state leaders are launching bienvenue campaigns and discounts. Politics may roar, but Canadian visitors remain essential. But it's not just tourism feeling the heat. America's auto arteries are under strain too. Tariffs versus torque, auto supply chains under pressure. No sector shows the tariff shock like autos. Detroit-Windsor is the beating heart of North American carmaking. Parts cross the border 8 times before reaching showrooms. That choreography collapses when tariffs, up to 25% on Canadian goods, hit. Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer laid out the math. Duties on auto goods surged into the tens of billions in one season. Car makers responded by stockpiling parts, delaying expansions, trimming bonuses, and warning of $2,500 price hikes per vehicle. Suppliers face brutal choices: absorb costs, pass them to OEMs, or pause investment, all of which ripple to workers and consumers. Tariffs aim to protect US jobs, but in an integrated ecosystem, blunt tools misfire. Canada supplies aluminum, steel, and precision parts. The US returns engines and electronics. Disrupt that flow and resilience evaporates, echoing the 2022 Ambassador Bridge blockade losses. With North America building its EV backbone, battery plants, and critical mineral refining, fragmentation now could hand rivals the upper hand. Before we delve deeper, do us a favor and smash that like and subscribe button. It helps us reach more auto enthusiasts just like you. And now, let's shift gears and head north, to the unexpected diplomatic road trips aiming to fix this mess. GOP damage control, personal diplomacy on the road. Policy clashes eventually meet human reality, and nothing hits harder than lost tourism dollars. That's why officials from both parties are heading north to deliver a clear message. You're welcome here. Louisiana's Lieutenant Governor Billy Nungesser led a personal mission to Toronto, Montreal, and Quebec City, not for diplomacy, but economic triage. Festivals, hotels, and restaurants in his state rely on Canadian visitors, and he urged them to return despite political noise. Northeastern states are doing the same. Maine ramped up French-language outreach, while New Hampshire leaders crossed the border to thaw tensions before foliage and ski seasons. New England shopkeepers describe a noticeably thinner summer. Rain and inflation played a part, but the Canadian gap stood out. Canadian travel planners say customers are holding back until Washington's tone changes. Immigration concerns and tariffs add to the chill. States keep saying their doors are open, but Ottawa and Canadian consumers are ultimately reacting to federal policy risk. While state leaders are on charm offensives, all eyes are turning to Washington, and one high-stakes date on the calendar. October 7 Showdown. Carney, Trump, and the USMCA pressure valve. All eyes are on October 7th, when Prime Minister Mark Carney meets President Trump at the White House. The mission? Ease tariffs on steel, aluminum, and autos, stabilize ties, and prepare for the first USMCA review. Both capitals have begun consultations. Ottawa even paused retaliatory measures and shelved a digital tax to clear space for talks. But tensions remain high. 51st state remarks keep flaring, and Canada wants them gone. Progress will likely mean sector-specific carve-outs, shielding auto parts, stamped metals, and critical inputs without surrendering leverage. Washington could frame this as safeguarding security supply chains. Ottawa could claim relief for manufacturers. Both could pitch it as boosting North American competitiveness against Chinese EVs and batteries. With the review window approaching, neither side benefits from tariff escalation. Border states and provinces want predictability so companies can plan long-term. Even a narrow October 7th outcome, like a working group on autos and minerals, could thaw relations and steady supply chains. And beyond this meeting lies an even bigger question. Will North America unite to compete or fracture from within? Fork in the road, rivals abroad or rivals at home. Beneath the headlines lies the real race. North America versus subsidized foreign competitors in EVs, batteries, and advanced manufacturing. The Great Lakes Ontario corridor has drawn tens of billions from GM, Ford, Stellantis, Honda, LG, and others. Canada provides clean energy and critical minerals. The US brings R&D scale, capital markets, assembly, and consumer demand. Mexico contributes flexible manufacturing and logistics. Break that ecosystem, and others win. Governor Whitmer warned, "Say no to Canada, say yes to China." Europe shows the risk. Cheap EV imports shuttering plants and killing jobs. A similar shock here would derail cathode build-outs from Windsor to Tennessee and push future models offshore. A North American compact could change the game. Targeted tariff détente on auto parts, metals and batteries, joint screening of Chinese subsidized components, and a minerals-to-motors strategy. Source locally, process at home, assemble across borders. With harmonized testing, workforce mobility, and shared tax credits, North America can unite against external rivals, not itself. And that brings us to the final lap, the decisive moment that could define North America's automotive future. Verdict, torque, or turmoil? Here's the bottom line. The very tariffs meant to shield American industry have hurt its closest partners and strained the border economies that keep the auto ecosystem turning. The Canadian boycott hurts today. The friction in auto parts threatens tomorrow. The Carney-Trump meeting isn't just a diplomatic calendar entry, it's a pivot point. Will both sides choose targeted relief and coordinated strength? Or will they stay stuck in a loop of retaliatory tariffs and mutual losses? A narrow landing zone exists. Selective tariff rollbacks where supply chains are most intertwined, a minerals-to-motors compact to out-innovate rivals, and a tone that welcomes Canadian consumers back without caveats. Get this right, and the Great Lakes Ontario powerhouse can accelerate into the EV future. Get it wrong, and expect higher car prices, slower plants, and a fractured continent competing against itself while others seize the pole position. Before you go, what do you think? Should Washington and Ottawa pursue targeted tariff carve-outs to keep the auto engine humming? Do you believe a true North American EV alliance can hold off China's battery dominance? How would prolonged tariffs affect car prices and production where you live? Drop your thoughts and experiences in the comments. We'd love to hear your take. And if you haven't already, subscribe to Piston Pundit and turn on notifications so you don't miss our next deep dive on the USMCA review and what it means for your next car. Thanks for watching and see you in the next lap. You can now check out any of the videos on the screen. There's plenty more to explore.